support group. So good to see you all. And we have quite a few things that we're going to cover today. Going forward, if there's any questions that you have in the meeting, feel free to put it in the chat or to raise your hand in the meeting. But we're going to go ahead and start this morning with Vicki. Vicki has a really good question that I think is going to apply to a lot of people. So Vicki, go ahead with your question.
All right, I don't want to make it too long. I think I did earlier, but so
it's
usually
okay, just give us the brief version.
Okay, so all I usually eat is just beef, salt to taste, and fat. Sometimes I'll add in like chicken wings, but that's not very often. But so usually if I bring in something new, I do it one at a time. But now yesterday I had hamburger patties with some pastrami and some Swiss cheese in between two hamburger patties. But I made an egg custard, and lately when I've made my egg custards, I've only used just the egg yolks and water and salt. But yesterday I did mascarpone cheese and egg yolks and salt. And then I added in some of my homemade extracts and 2 pinches of cacao, which I kind of joked, please don't take away my carnivore card for doing that when I posted on my Instagram. But so anyway, when I did eat that, I put heavy whipping cream on top of it, just a little bit. Now I get my heavy whipping cream from a local creamery. It's just down the road from me. And so the only ingredient is heavy whipping cream. But this is the second time now that I've tried my heavy whipping cream, which I used to eat and I have daily when I first started carnivore, and never had a problem with it. And so this is the second time that I have used heavy whipping cream that it has made me deathly ill. And I had real heavy mucus. I know this is going to be disgusting, but to where, I mean, I was coughing. I felt clammy. I have a strange condition. I don't sweat. So if I was to sweat, I probably would have been sweating, but I got clammy and just felt real hot. I had to put cold washcloths on me, and I just kept having to go to the bathroom because I was just deathly ill. And I don't understand why heavy whipping cream, I'm guessing, is the culprit, because this is not the first time that this has happened. I don't understand why that's happening to me now. So.
All right. So Amy, can you give us your response to that?
Okay. So Vicki, one question. You said you got it, your heavy whipping cream from down the road. Is it raw or is it pasteurized?
They do a slow pasteurization. So like when I used to drink the milk, I'm lactose intolerant. So used to when I drank their whole milk, I was actually able to drink their whole milk without having the issues that I had with pasteurized. So, but since carnivore, I haven't had any milk except for the heavy whipping cream. And so, like I said, it's one ingredient, unlike the grocery store, is heavy cream. So, yeah.
So for those who don't know, I'm going to go ahead and kind of let you guys know a little bit about dairy, which I found fascinating. I cannot handle ultra pasteurized, or even raw at all. I just found this out. So the difference is raw dairy is actually still heated to like 145 degrees-ish. And pasteurization happens above like 160. Well, what happens when you pasteurize something, it kills off the bacteria that are in there, but it doesn't just kill them off. The way that it's heated, they explode. And their guts and everything else ends up floating around in the milk. So it's actually their DNA from that bacteria that we ingest in the pasteurized milks and creams and things like that tend to make us sick more than anything, because it's their actual DNA. it hasn't just killed them and then they go away. It's like they explode and it's disgusting. For a lot of people, they say, oh, yeah, well, if it's the slow pasteurization or the raw dairy, then I can handle it better. And for some people, that's true. But for some, we still can't handle, me being one of them. I had a quarter cup of the cream, and when we went to this raw dairy place, I was falling asleep at the wheel on the way home. I was literally like holding my eyes open and smacking myself in the face because I had a bunch of children in the car with me and it was an hour drive to get home. When I got home that night, I had bubble guts. I felt absolutely terrible and my digestion was messed up for 2 days. And that was after just a quarter cup of the raw cream because I had to taste it to see how it was. I bet you in your case, I don't know if you're as sensitive as I am, but you kind of overdid dairy on a lot of fronts. Like you said, normally you just do one thing. You pulled a me. You didn't do one thing, you did like 7. So welcome to the club. It's terrible. And it could also be the combination of things. It could be you could have these 2 things, but not these 2 things. Or, so it could be that you can have cacao, but only a little bit of cacao, or this or that. So honestly, you'd have to repeat the experiment. And that doesn't sound like fun exactly anytime soon. So every time I do that, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to try one thing. And then when I think about it, I never want to do it because of how terrible it was. But yeah, it's probably you overdose because the dose makes the poison. Just like if you were to swallow an apple seed, you wouldn't die, or if you eat a cup of rice, you're not going to die. But arsenic in higher quantities would absolutely kill you, and both rice and apple seeds have a lot of arsenic in them. So it could just be you poisoned yourself with your dose. I'm so sorry. I completely understand. So the mascarpone, how often do you make that? The custard.
I haven't put mascarpone in my custard since I started carnivore until yesterday. And so now I have eaten it to where the other night I really was needing some extra fat. And my mascarpone doesn't have carbs. So I did 4 tablespoons of mascarpone with just a little bit of Element chocolate salt and mix that in real good. And it tasted great. I didn't have any ill effects from that at all. And so, which kind of points me to the heavy whipping cream, since this, one other time I had told Emily that I needed to up my fat, and I went and drank a half a cup of heavy whipping cream, and I got sicker than a dog, just like I did last night. And so that's why I think it might be that, but I put in too many things yesterday that was new. So, which I usually don't do, but I did.
You pulled a me. No, I think you're right. It's probably the heavy whipping cream. I wanted to love it. I wanted it to love me back. I wanted to be able to make Alfredo sauce. Yeah, that's a big fat nope for me. So I think you're probably right. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, and Kevin says in the chat, he says nope, and it is his final temptation. Iced decaf Americano with the tiniest splash of heavy whipping cream doesn't work for him either. So you're definitely not alone. And at first, I used to get really angry about this. How come everybody else, how come everybody else can play and I can't play? Everybody else can have a little bit of heavy whipping cream and their check engine light doesn't come on. But I have heavy whipping cream and my check engine light comes on and starts flashing. Like, it's just ridiculous. But then I came to a place where I was grateful. I was grateful that not only does my check engine light work, it notifies me as soon as possible. I get instant results from my check engine light. So now I see it in a different way. And I'm thankful for that immediate feedback instead of frustrated that I can't play like everybody else. Because how far of a wrong path do you want to go down? Not very far. I would much rather take one step into the wrong path and get like smacked in the face and go, oh, this isn't the way for me. I'm going to go this way. So it's all in how you look at it. And I really think that that is important, because if we're operating in this like frustration and anger, then that's can be just as toxic for us. So now I'm thankful for my check engine light. The only thing with the way that you did it yesterday, Vicky, is, and I've done that so many times, is I would say just to isolate your check engine light and to isolate and see, you know, is it the cacao? Is it the I can't say it, mascarpone. Mascarpone. There we go. Sorry, I'm from
You can say
Southeast
mascarpone.
Missouri.
You can say mascarpone too, but it's always been my favorite. And so, like back before carnivore, keto, tiramisu was my all-time favorite dessert. And so I've always kind of tried to make a custard that was healthier and had that same kind of flavor. And it always has been satisfying to me. And so I think my biggest mistake was adding that heavy whipping cream on the top when I was eating it. So
and
I
the
don't
cool
know,
part is we can just go back. We can go back. Once you get a baseline, you can just reset to the baseline. And then like Kevin says in the chat, there is no failure. There is only feedback. You just got to do A/B testing. Was it A or was it B?
Well, and it's like I told my husband, I said, I'm the one that's preaching all the time to everybody, only add in one food at a time. Only try one thing at a time. And then,
me and Amy say it all the time.
What did I do? I did like Swiss cheese, and I did the deli meat. And, that all came from the other day I was out running errands. I had my chiropractor appointment and anyway, I was running a lot of errands and I was starving, and I stopped off at Bad Daddy's hamburger joint, and I went in and they had a hamburger that had pastrami and Swiss cheese. And that got me wanting that. And I tried to order a la carte, and they wanted to charge me the full price for a meal with the sides. And so I just told them, thank you for letting me know, but I'm going to choose to not do that. And so I left, and I made it home.
But the seed was planted in your mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly. It was, because my favorite, I've always loved Reubens. So it kind of reminded me of a Reuben. And that's another thing that I did. So I did the Swiss cheese and the pastrami. And so I did the mascarpone with the heavy whipping cream. But I also made me a sauce, which I have only done a little bit of condiments a couple of times with carnivore. I think today's 248 of carnivore. And so yesterday I did the mayonnaise, Dijon mustard, and I actually added, I haven't used spices since being on carnivore, but I did paprika, cayenne, and garlic powder, and just one little spoonful of Primal Kitchen ketchup into that sauce, special sauce.
and there's so many ingredients in all of those things.
So I did a lot yesterday, and so.
Well, and I like what I keep quoting Kevin, but I like what Kevin put in the chat. You got good confirmation that the advice you're giving people is correct.
Yeah.
So there you go. But thank you so much for sharing that, because I feel like a lot of people do that. And then we don't know what it is that we're reacting to. And so what's really cool about this process is we can always pull back. We can always pull back to the basics. And Vicki, how lucky are you that you have a baseline?
Yeah.
How many people are going through this who are 200 and something days in, and they're like, I don't feel any better. I haven't lost any weight. I still have brain fog. But not you. You have got that baseline. And so now you know what it feels like to get off of that baseline. And all you got to do is go back and then just do one thing at a time.
Right. And I've been losing weight again. And so doing good at just weighing Mondays and Fridays. I've
I'm
been
so
doing
proud of you.
my ratios. The other day, my Dr. Ball's ratio was 16. And so it was really very good. And I'm only testing now once a week because
Awesome.
I need to buy some more testers. But if it's okay, I do have one other question.
Sure, go ahead.
When I first started keto, one of the things that was really odd, that my hair color went back to the hair color I had when I was young. And so as I had gotten older, my hair had changed from like a blonde to from a medium. My mama called it dirty blonde, but it had changed from that and it went back. And so I have noticed that my roots are coming out looking dark. And so I wondered if that could be like, am I deficient in something? And I just wondered if anybody has ever came across that. So it's just very strange to me.
Should be the fountain of youth of keto and carnivore.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going gray whenever I started carnivore. I was getting ready to put it in my budget to dye my hair. And talking to my stylist and like, okay, how often am I going to have to do this? And we were setting up for it and went carnivore, and this is it. I don't dye my
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, I don't either, but I've never had dark hair except for when I used to dye it pitch black a long time ago. But now it's coming where it's looking like it's turning dark, where I've always been blonde.
Your hair right now isn't dyed blonde?
No.
Wow.
I have strange hair. My roots come out like an auburn, and then soon as the sun hits it, it goes blonde.
Huh.
And so that's the way my hair has always been. My mom called it a dirty blonde, dishwater blonde. And so when I was real little, it was strawberry blonde. And so, but it seems to be now my roots are getting dark, like a dark brown. So I thought that's very strange. And so it's
Were
kind of
you always a really healthy child?
I never had any issues as a child, health-wise.
I wonder if maybe you were lacking something then that you're getting now.
Yeah, I have no idea. So,
I don't know. That was just what popped in my head. I was like, I don't know.
I just keep wondering, is it something? I don't take supplements. I mean, the only thing I do is I do keto chow, daily minerals, and so and iodine. I mean, that's the only things that I do. And I have, since I upped my fat, I've had to restart my digestive enzymes because I don't have a gallbladder. So anyway.
Awesome. Well,
But
thank you so much
also,
for the question, though.
okay, I was just going to say one other thing is yesterday too, I not only was sick, but I had the worst heartburn that I've had since before I had my hiatal hernia repaired. So,
Oh, that is so frustrating. That is so frustrating. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. And Betsy, go ahead. You wanted to share?
Well, the last 2 weeks I've had 2 doctor appointments, and kind of discouraging. I just ever since July when I had COVID twice, I've been just totally inflamed and so much pain that I can't sleep. It's just been awful. And so my rheumatologist wants me back on Plaquenil and Cimzia. Very discouraging. I was off everything for like a year or more and just feeling fantastic, really fantastic until July. And saw my PCP yesterday, and he agreed to increase my Norco for 2 months until those other things start to work. And I feel just so guilty about all of this because I was off everything and doing so well, and I'm still I'm doing carnivore and everything, like iodine and everything. I don't know I feel guilty about having to go back on these things, but nothing else is working. And I don't know that I can totally wait until my diet or whatever catches up.
Go ahead, Amy. Sorry, Amy and I communicate just through our eyes sometimes.
Yeah, I think I said those exact same words several times recently to Emily. Like yesterday. So for those who don't know, I've got underlying conditions and I was going to try to fight them using functional medicine. And so I got all kinds of supplements and of course, my diet's as good as I can get it. And I started taking all my supplements. I can't take any of them. Not a single one of them. My face plugs up with snot and it's just oozing and leaking from every opening on my face, even my ears. And it's horrible. I get hives all over my body. The headaches, the pain is insane. And now we're looking at, okay, well, you got to take like this one capsule of this one thing for like 1 week. And then we'll see if you can handle that. If you can't, we're going to change something else. Right now, it's looking like a year-long process to just get through the support and detox phase. That's not even fighting Lyme. That's not fighting the H. pylori. That's just trying to support my body enough to be able to. I can't wait that long. I cannot wait. My H. pylori, it's starting to hurt. I can feel it. It wakes me up at night because my stomach is burning so much. Lyme will make my neck lock up. And for those who've seen Craig Emmerich, he's got chronic Lyme disease and now he's progressed into something far worse. So I'm to the point where I'm probably going to have to take some pretty heavy duty antibiotics because I can't wait. I cannot wait for my body and my diet to catch up with where I think it should be. So Betsy, you're not alone. And I think a lot of the struggle and the frustration is that we're doing everything right. We're doing exactly what we've been told. And then we hear something different and they're like, change it a little bit because this is your problem. This is your problem. So we're constantly chasing these little rabbit trails and we're like going down, is this my way? And then this leads off somewhere else and we go, is this my way? Because we're so desperate to just get better. And there comes a point in time where we have to kind of look at reality. And I think you and I are right there together, sister. It's like, it's not my fault. It is not your fault because we've done everything we've been told to do. And there comes a point in time where we got to wash our hands of it. And we have to do what we have this inner knowing, our inner clarity is telling us we have to do. I don't want to go on antibiotics. I would do anything to not go on those antibiotics. But coming to that realization, I've now said, you know what? There's some things that I can do to mitigate it. I'm working on my own homebrewed kombucha right now because I can't do sauerkraut. I can't do yogurt. I can't do a million other things. But tea I can do. So hopefully fermented tea I can do. I'm going to try that because I can't take a pill. I can't take any pills. Oh, my doggies. I'm sorry.
I love them.
So you're not alone and you're not a failure at all. Honestly, our doctors have failed us. The advice that we have been given on these platforms, they promise us things and they don't always come through because I'm not you and you're not me. And so what works for one person is not guaranteed to work for another. I don't ever want you to take it personally that something didn't work. It's not your fault. And you're absolutely not alone. So I just want you to be with yourself and be quiet and listen to what your heart is telling you is the right thing to do. If you think you're supposed to go back on those meds, then I'm so proud of you for listening and doing what you need to do to get yourself moving forward because you and I, we've been slipping backwards for a little while.
I can't even sleep at night, and I haven't been to church in over a month or any of our women's functions, I've only left the house for 2 doctor appointments, and I had to have somebody take me because I don't feel safe even driving because I can't even do the wheel, the steering wheel. And so I need a little bit of a life. But thank you, Amy. I watched your Fab 4 today and it was so helpful.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I know Vicky made the comment earlier about, I hope you don't take away my carnivore card for this.
Yeah.
That kind of thinking, I think, damages people more than most other phrases.
Thank you.
That is not what makes you a carnivore.
I had a client this week get mad at me because I was talking to her and I said, carnivore is not the goal. And she goes, then what are we doing? I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, stability and baseline and health is the goal. Carnivore is a tool. Carnivore is something that we can use, but we have to follow our inner knowing, our insight, our instincts first and foremost. And it takes a while to really tap into that because at first there's so much noise, there's so much chaos, there's so much this doctor, that doctor, this YouTuber, this influencer, this friend.
Yes.
There's so much noise. And so I just encourage.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
This is the only group, though, that is accepting, I feel. The other groups kind of do, and then there's always that last sentence that they say, that kind of just throws everything off. Oh, okay, I am a failure. So thank you.
No, you're definitely not a failure. And I really think it's important to, and I would encourage you, Betsy, throughout this week, if you have one job, your one job is to tap into that inner knowing, to get really intentional. Set a timer and say, I'm going to sit here and I am going to think about what the next step is for me to do for my health. I'm going to sit here and I am going to just focus on my inner knowing because it is there, Betsy. You are already this well-oiled machine. You are already this healthy, thriving person. We just have to tap into that. It's already there. And we have to allow that to come from the inside out. So many times we think it's from the outside in. Oh, well, I need this supplement. I need this thing. I need this answer. I need this coach. It's already there. You just have to really tap into that. And so I would like for you to, as your assignment, just set a timer for, let's say 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day for you to just concentrate and think about what is the best thing for me? What is my body telling me to do? And then report back to me. Send me an email. I don't care. Send me a message. Let me know what your inner being is telling you because it's there.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. All right. We have another person who wants to share real quick. Go ahead, Jim. It's okay.
Okay. I think I'm unmuted.
Yeah, you're unmuted.
How's the sound?
Pretty bad, but go ahead. Just
Is
talk
it?
loud.
Oh,
Yeah.
I unplugged some things and apparently hasn't helped.
It's all right.
Wonder
Go
what
ahead.
that
Just
is.
talk loud.
All right. Okay. Yeah, let me know if I need to talk a little loud or whatever. So I was just saying, I've been trying to do more of a keto carnivore for a long time. I've on and off and on and off because I don't tolerate it well. I don't know. I did many years prior of trying to do high carb, low fat, more or less vegan, trying to do that. Never was entirely successful at that either. But so then when I got the coronary artery calcium score, and then
What was your score?
well, right now it's 575. I guess over 400 is considered to be high, or very high, or high. And then, anyway, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I know there's some people that are in the thousands, but I think those are kind of rare, probably. But anyway, just trying to do what I think might be the constructive response to this problem. Did this problem come about because of my high carb eating? I don't know. I mean, I did have an infected root canal in my mouth for like 40 years. So that might have played a role.
Yeah.
There could be, and then I would do a lot of this. I'd be trying to eat very, very low fat, high carb, and I would be falling off that wagon into a big bucket of anything and everything, and then climbing back onto the wagon again, and that happened many, many, many times. So I was not good at the high carb, low fat either. And now it appears that I'm not really very good at the high fat, low carb, or the keto carnivore. I say keto carnivore because I've never ever said to myself, I absolutely can't eat a leaf of lettuce, or I cannot eat half an avocado, or a little salad or whatever. And then I was also having quite a bit of constipation problems, and I'm starting to hear more and more. I heard it before, but I'm hearing more and more now that, okay, well, more fat is the answer. A lot of people represent that as being the case. It may be, I don't know particularly in my case. But the problem is really this, is I just don't seem to tolerate this. And I can't even say, I mean, is it more the protein or is it the fat or whatever? I don't tolerate it well. In that, if I eat a big meal, when I say a big meal, I mean, you got to try to eat close to enough calories for a day or whatever. My heart, I get pounding heart. Some people call that palpitations. I'm not really sure if that's the correct term to describe that, but it's like a stress response in my body. So my heart pounds, my blood pressure goes up, and as a consequence of that, I have insomnia. I can't sleep. You lay down on the bed, and your heart's going boom, boom, boom. You're not sleeping. You're stressed. So then I get up, and then I'm probably up on the computer until 6 in the morning, when finally that last food that I ate is sort of like dissipating through my system. It's just occurred to me that maybe I have something weird, liver or kidney inadequacy, dysfunction, and that's the reason that the protein, for example, is not being eliminated well, so it's causing a stress response or being dealt with properly. I don't know, but I was just curious. I mean, it seems to me, I know there's other people, not very many that I've really encountered, but that have had these similar problems. I've heard of the heart palpitations quite a bit with other people. And I don't know what's the usual course with something like that? Does that eventually go away, or is there a certain, constructive response to that? Okay.
Yes, Tom is chomping at the bit. So I'm going to go ahead and have you mute.
Okay.
And then Tom is going to respond with his story.
Hey, Jim, you don't know me. I just had a heart bypass 4 weeks ago. I'm 4 weeks into my recovery right now. And it started with a high calcium score. And the calcium score is the best indicator for a potential heart attack, just so you know. Mine was higher than yours, but yours is, in 2016, mine was probably double what yours is. That was 2016. And then it quadrupled this year. And fortunately, I asked for that second calcium score, and so there's steps beyond that you need to take, and this has nothing to do with keto carnivore right now. Your high calcium score is occurred because you had inflammation that the cholesterol was doing its job. It's laying these protective layers on your. That's how the calcium builds up. It's protecting. It's actually saving your arteries. But at the same time, it's in the long term, it's killing you potentially. So you you could have fatty liver disease also. So there's a couple things, and I don't know if you've had that checked out or not, but because you have the high calcium score, and I tell this to everybody, first you need to get the CAC score. You've already done that, so good on you for that. But you need to get, this needs to go further. You need to actually assess whether there's blockages, and that can be causing heart palpitations that you have. I had the same thing. So I ended up getting a nuclear stress test, which was, one cardiologist said it was abnormal, the other said it was normal. So then I said, okay, what's the next step? The next step is a heart catheterization, where they send a cathode up your arm or through your thigh into your heart. They inject dye and they see if there's any blockages. So on August 29th of this year, the 25th, I went and had mine. So I ended up having 100% blockage on one artery, 90% on the artery they call the Widowmaker artery, and 80% on the other two. So I had to have a quadruple bypass in a few days after that. I had no symptoms. I was healthy as my cardiologist said I was the healthiest unhealthy patient he's ever seen. So I could have died any time in the last 5 years. The things that I was doing. So you need to take the next step with your cardiologist, just for your own peace of mind. And that's what they'll say a nuclear stress test. They're not going to do these things unless you have symptoms. But if you wait till you have symptoms, it may be too late. So push a heart catheterization. They'll be able to tell right away whether you have blockages. And then they can do a stent, whatever, right then and there to open those blockages, and you'll feel better. I already have, I can notice my mental clarity is already better just from getting better blood flow. So that's aside from the carnivore. But I think the keto probably is the right path for you and going forward. But you also need to check to see if you have fatty liver, because that can be. And also, have you ever had a sleep apnea test done by any chance? You could have sleep apnea that could be causing you problems that you didn't even know about. So number one priority is to try to push for a heart catheterization to make sure you don't have any blockages. You'll have more peace of mind as far as that goes if they say you don't have any. But you can reverse calcium deposit. There's cardiologists out there that say that in a carnivore diet, keto diet is a way to do that. So keep pushing forward on that. I know it's difficult, but when you said you had a high CAC score and then you have these other symptoms that are going on, you need to take the next step with your cardiologist. So
Yeah. And what did they say about your way of eating?
he said, well, that's funny. He never heard of that carnivore diet, my cardiologist, but his physician assistant was doing a lot of research on it because he had a friend that knows all about the carnivore diet. So he was pushing it. So I don't know if they were talking, whatever. He ended up telling my wife that I think you're on the right track here, because I was healthy. I went from January this year, I weighed 303 pounds. So I've lost 75 pounds since then. I reversed my type 2 diabetes in the first 2 months of carnivore. I'm reversing my fatty liver that I have now. I have fatty liver, so I'm taking metformin and all that stuff. But I know for a fact in my mind that by this time next year, I'm going to be my liver is going to be clear, 100% reversed, and that's the diet that's going to do it. I know that for a fact. There's evidence. There's all sorts of evidence out there that people have done this and cleared their fatty liver. I don't know if you have fatty liver, but I would guess you do, based on what you're talking about. So I know I'm all over the place here, but the CAC score, I got to talk to you about that, because I personally am dealing with this right now. And thank God that I did it. Thank God you did it. Now take the next step and make sure you don't have any blockages. That would be my suggestion to you, sir.
And he has to push that he is feeling symptoms.
Yeah, and tell them you're having symptoms. Because if they say you don't have symptoms,
yeah, they won't do it.
I don't know if you can hear my wife.
Thank you, Meryl.
She's giving me all sorts of stuff in my ear. And say hi to Meryl.
No,
She doesn't want me to show you.
She's like, no, don't do that, Tom.
She was just working in the yard, so. So anyway, I'm sorry, Jim. I didn't mean to preach or anything there, but
Yeah, Tom literally just saved his life this year. Do you have any questions, Jim?
Well, I'll go ahead and unmute here, and thank you, Tom, for that. You and I could have a long conversation about that subject. It's a confusing mess out there. and such different opinions everywhere. Anyway, but no, I guess my question is just this. If people here know of or have had this kind of problem where you're eating, meat, our ancestrally perfect food, which we've been eating down through the millennia, right? And that people that are either changing their diet or just having this problem where when you eat a bunch of meat and or eggs, maybe cheese, a little whatever, but when you eat this, that you have this stress response, and it just seems persistent. You don't seem, I don't really seem to adapt over time. I probably do tolerate it better now than I did initially, but so if anybody knows anything, to contribute in regards to what my thought, maybe this just isn't right for me. But then what is right for me if this isn't? Should I be eating buckets full of oats like a horse and, eating all sorts of hybridized fruits and so on with tons of sugar and stuff like that? What would I be eating if I'm not eating something that, is like a balance at least of macronutrients? But,
all right.
Yeah.
We've got the answer. Okay, go ahead and mute again, Jim.
Okay.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, so I've been doing a lot more research into the Paleolithic, where we came from, what we've been eating. And I heard a very interesting statement. I think it was just yesterday. This woman's name is Stephanie Person, but she throws keto in there. She's crass, she's rough, she's rude, but she's brilliant. And yesterday in one of her videos, she said, we didn't gorge ourselves on meat. We ate the organs first, and then what spoils? The meat spoils. What doesn't spoil? The fat.
The fat.
We didn't gorge ourselves on tons and tons of protein. We ate the fat as long as we could, as much as we could. We always ate the organs first because they're so full of nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and they're going to go bad. So you ate those first, and then yes, they would eat some of the meat, but the meat goes bad in just a few days. So what you're left with is all of the fat. So in her opinion, she's been doing this for 15 years with thousands of clients. She says that men should not eat more than 100 grams of protein a day on average. That is a minuscule amount of protein. And if you have kidney damage, if you have liver damage, which if you ate like a vegan for that long, you do. It's unavoidable. So if you have those types of damage, you need to reduce your protein down even more. And you can look at her, she's 55 years old. She is ripped. She eats between 46 and like 60 grams of protein a day. That's it. You can build muscle. You can do all of these things, but the fat is what repairs. The fat is what helps build up your hormones properly. We have every single cell in our body needs a new lipid layer. And if you don't replace it with really good, high quality, especially animal fats, then all of your cells are going to suffer. And that's where the leaky arteries come from. And then your body comes in with cholesterol on top to patch the holes. It's a Band-Aid. So all the blockages that could be there, all the cholesterol that's collected in your heart, those are the firefighters, because all of your arteries and your veins are losing integrity from not eating building material as protein, yes, but then the fats also, because every single cell has a lipid layer. Lipids are fat. So the outside of the cell is fat. So if we aren't eating enough fat, if we do the low fat for a very long term, all of our cells, every single one of them, the integrity is beginning to fail. So the best thing for you to do is eat a lot of fat. And it seems so counterintuitive, and it can be very hard. And this is why I push like the egg yolk waffles, or you can turn them into egg yolk muffins or something like that. If you can handle them, it gets you really high on your fat. There is a little bit of protein in there. You can add butter. You can do Emily. You can just eat the fat raw. You can air fry it. You can put seasoned salt on it, all kinds of seasonings, and air fry it. It's like the really crispy, fatty parts of the bacon. Oh, it's fantastic. Pork belly is wonderful. Chicken skins or chicken wings can be really good as well. So fat is really going to be your most important thing to eat. Yes, you need some protein. Everyone needs some protein, but too much protein is going to severely tax your kidneys, and you can actually give yourself kidney disease if you overdo the protein when coming from that way of eating where you're very damaged. Kevin commented he was vegan for a long time and now he's having to recover as well. So it is very possible, but fat would absolutely be my recommendation, to not focus on so much protein, and in your case, probably reduce it down lower than you think it needs to be because of the state of your kidneys and your liver.
Yeah, if I can unmute for just a second here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Amy. You know, I will just make a few brief comments. You know, I only really started getting into Stephanie keto person here pretty recently. And you know what? You guys went ahead and interrupted my watching her latest video with, oh my, for goodness sake.
Kelly Hogan.
Kelly Hogan, oh my God.
That's the video we're talking about.
I'm losing my mind.
Watch that video.
I was halfway through that when, okay, it's 11 o'clock. I gotta stop that and come to this. But no, I've listened to a certain amount of Stephanie's stuff. And to me, I think I mean, it resonates with me that the way forward for me on this path, this, you know, keto carnivore path, is to try the high fat thing. One question that I have is, how do you think it could possibly be that butter is objectionable for me? And that maybe, because that's what I've been trying to supplement my fat with, mostly is butter. And maybe that could be problematic. I mean, I know that, like you just mentioned, Emily is chewing down on what do you have there? Oh, I can't quite see it. I see it's some kind of meaty something. I'm not sure. Oh,
it's fat. Fat and meat.
Oh yeah, so it's the rendered fat.
Frozen.
No, it's not rendered.
Oh.
I'll have to get a better picture. It's literally a piece of fat.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Just
frozen, right, Emily?
Frozen and raw. Yeah.
Huh. That's very cute. It's hard to really, you know, see what that is exactly. I mean, I see the.
Yeah, I need to make a video about it. I'm going to.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to try to take up the whole time here. I'm just going to see if there's anything else. Yeah. So it's the, you know, I was wondering about the butter, and then going like Amy's mentioning and suggesting, as would Stephanie. Oh, there's a bowl here. Mary over here has a bowl of what kind of fat is that? I wonder.
That's beef fat trimmings.
It is.
Beef fat trimmings.
I guess I should make another effort. You know, if I could throw in one more thing, you know, when it comes to like bacon, for example, and pork, right? A lot of people are very, you know, say, oh, if you're eating the commercially produced factory farmed pork, it's very high in polyunsaturated fats because that's what they feed the pigs a lot of. And that Paul Saladino, for example, is one person who represents that point of view quite a bit. Should I be that concerned about, you know, trying to get the grass-fed, pasture-raised versus the commercially? I hate to say factory farm, but that's the way it is, right?
Go ahead, Amy.
So,
can you
be careful.
mute Jim?
Yep.
So we can have that sound stop. Go ahead.
Be careful doing that, because that's what I did. I went from Standard American diet. I did keto for a minute, and then I heard Paul Saladino, you're not going to get healed unless you're doing grass-fed, grass-finished, raw, organic, blah, 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 blah. So I did that. And it shocked my system so much because I removed so much stuff of the process. It was keto, but it was still processed keto stuff. And then I went over to super strict carnivore, where it was grass-fed, grass-finished beef, only with liver and unsalted Kerrygold butter. And my body ended up breaking out in hives. I had severe reactions because I removed everything and I'd created so much damage to that point, steering an American diet for as long as I was, that my body couldn't even access any of the really good nutrients one step at a time. If you went from really plant heavy just to eating animal products, that is a huge step in the right direction. Emily always says, if you go from 10 diet sodas a day down to 9 diet sodas a day, that is a huge improvement. So just any meat. I actually find that people who go slower and they get the deli meats, they get the crappy bacon, they get all that stuff, they do better because it's a slow transition from the plant toxins. Even if you weren't eating processed foods, if you're eating plants, they have anti-nutrients in them. They have toxins that react to your body differently than a lot of other people's bodies. And so if you remove everything all at once and then just expect it to digest all this meat and fat, it doesn't work out very well for most people. There are the people it works out for, but some of them are miserable for 4 or 5 months. And with you and your situation, I would say, get the bacon from the grocery store. Get what you can find, what you can afford, and what you like. Don't worry too much. I always look for, there's bacon, whatever, the pork, and then less than 2% of crap. That's the way that I look at it. For me and for my children, if I can get the crap on the less than 2% side, that's what I shoot for. But if the carbs are 0, it's going to have sugar in it. Or the other thing they always say, nitrate free. Your saliva has 70% of the nitrates that you're going to get every single day. It's recycled over and over. Celery is the highest concentration of nitrates in nature, which is why they use celery salt for all of these things and say no nitrates added. Incorrect. No artificial added. So don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. Tom, go ahead.
I was just going to say, don't listen to Paul Saladino. Turn him off. You got everybody you need here. You got Kelly Hogan. You got another person that Amy was talking about.
We hear something else playing in the background.
Oh,
Sorry, I turned it off. That was me.
that's my from another watching YouTube videos. So, anyways, sorry about that.
Say yes to the dress.
She says, "Say yes to the dress." That's her. She's obsessed with that. So.
Thanks for the comic relief, Meryl. Go ahead, Tom.
So I just want to say, yeah, Paul Saladino. I started out watching him. I got his cookbook and all that stuff, and the more I watched him, the more I realized that he's not the right person to be watching. So for me, so I think you're on the right path without watching him. So sorry about that. And yeah. Paul, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but you got to put your shirt on.
Wouldn't it be funny if Paul Saladino actually watched my videos? That would be funny.
You never know.
You never know.
If you don't mind, can I ask one more little question?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Okay. We got like 1 more minute.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I mean, other people here.
No, we just have to end the meeting, but go ahead.
Oh, it's done already. Okay. I have some suet, some, you know what I'm talking about, big chunk of fat with all the little stringy collagen in there, whatever's in there, right? What's the best way to eat that, you suppose? I mean, I don't know, art like that? I mean, like,
Oh, gosh, I have to make the video. Okay, universe. Okay, God, I'm listening. I will make the video. I'm sorry. You were like, the 50th person who's told me to make that video.
Okay.
But yes, I take a large chunk of fat.
Suet. Is it suet or fat?
I say that it's beef fat trimmings. And I've gone so far into, I have talked to my farmer. I've gotten the phone number for the butcher, and I have talked to the butcher on the phone. It says, Emily, please make the video of doing the raw meat and fat with the chopsticks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will. I promise.
So, but does anyone know for right now? Because I'm thinking like today, right?
Yeah.
I've got, maybe butter is problematic. So if I would try the suet that I have, what is a good way to eat this suet?
Okay. So you take the big chunk, you thaw it out enough, and you cut it into tiny little cubes, like this big. like tiny little cubes, like little cubes of cheese. And then you put it on, and you put it on parchment paper, and you put it in a container, and you put it in the freezer. And then it's always there. And then you roll it out and you eat. I would start with like 3 bites a day, 3 little cubes of cheese a day. Eat it raw, salted, and frozen. Catherine said, I don't even think Catherine's still here, but Catherine said that she tried it for the first time this week. And I've had Vicky tried it. Like, I've had other people who have tried it, and it is an acquired taste at first, but now I eat about 8 ounces a day. So it's half a pound. And I'm able to do that. And if you can't tolerate it frozen, it's not frozen like an ice cube. It's dense like cheese. When you bite into it, it's not frozen like a rock. And then you can, if you don't like it frozen, you can just let it thaw out a little bit. But what I like is that it's just there in the freezer, and then you can just get it out whenever you want. And then you can increase the next day, have 5 pieces or a little bit more. Did you want to add?
And Emily, the suet, actually, you don't have to cut. Sometimes you can cut it, but you're right, Jim. The suet, you can actually break apart yourself, and you just but you still freeze it. Whereas the fat trimmings are off the actual ribeye or the thing. That's what you're getting from the butcher, say fat trimmings. If you're buying suet, like from US Wellness or whatever, you can. And that little collagen piece, it looks like a layer. And I eat all of it. I eat all of it the same way she's talking about fat trimmings, which is a different texture. It's more cheesy. This can either be like dough in your mouth, like it kind of has a texture of dough, or it can be like wax. Or like honey, those the honey combs that we used to eat as children, and then you get all the honey out. So, but it's awesome. Both are awesome.
The other option
about the two differences. Suet has that. They kind of have these things around them, and it's from the lining of the stomach, I think, from the cow, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you, Mari.
It's around the kidneys, mostly the suet, and those are membranes in there, I think you can call them, that surround individual little parts of the suet, and it's stringy and weird, and it's not like butter or something, which is very consistent. This is like
So the other thing you can do with the suet is air fry it at 375 for about 7 minutes. Sprinkle it with any kind of seasoning so that it tastes good, and then you can work up to the raw. We have to go because time is up. So
thank you very much, guys.
All right, thanks guys, have a good Saturday.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks.